So letting a few more people in. All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right. Okay, so let me pull up real quick. So just a kind of reminder, the way my Canvas course is set up, all of the resources, as far as like the PowerPoints and the textbook publisher provides some supplemental videos that I usually link in there. And then for each week, I'll put all of the Zoom recordings in a page like this. Okay, so like Friday, I have the YouTube link there, so you can go back and watch those. Even though we're in week 5, I'll still put the recording for chapter 4 in this this page here. All right. There were still a few people that needed to get caught up on some of the quizzes. So I opened up the quizzes for chapter 4. I'll give you until the end of the week to get those caught up. And I had a couple other people email me having some issues, and I'll reopen chapter 3 quizzes for until the end of the week as well. So, but after that, then those will be closed. So if you need to get those taken, you can still get those done this week. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna hopefully get through the rest of the hands-on practice activities today. If I don't get through them, you should be able to finish them up on your own. They're pretty self-explanatory as far as the later ones, but hopefully we'll get through them. So I'll probably kind of go a little faster than usual just so we can try to get through them. So let me get started here. Okay. All right, so let me get my files that I need. All right, so chapter 4. I need that one. I need the chapter 2 template file. All right. Pull both of those out, get them unzipped. All right, I already got my chapter 4 set up to where I'm going to put those in and get rid of those. All right, let me open brackets. Okay, so we're going to start on page 168, 4.9. All right, so we're going to work with some multiple background images here. Okay, so close that. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do in my chapter 4 is create a new folder called Trillium CH4. And I'm going to need to copy some files from our starter files here. So we'll need Trill starters, the very bottom folder. I'll copy all of those files into this new one that I just created. I'll grab those, put those in there. All right. Let's open it up in brackets and get started. Oops, don't need a new one. File open. All right, so I need to find the index file, get that guy open. All right, so we want to first, we're going to create a style rule for the body selector, and we're going to put in a background property. Okay, so we're going to add a couple of different images here into the background. All right, so right here on line 7 in the body, I already have my background color and my text color. I'm going to create another rule here Okay, we're going to type background colon, and we're going to, so remember with the background, when we're placing images, we have to use this URL code. Okay, so URL and then in parentheses trillium foot.gif. All right. A couple other values here. I don't want it to repeat, so no repeat. No repeat. And I also want it placed at the right side on the bottom. Can't type today. All right, gee, Merry Christmas. All right, right bottom. All right, so no repeat, space, right, space, bottom. Okay, and then I'm gonna put a comma, and then on a new line here, I'm going to add in URL. Okay, so this is how we do multiple images in the background. For this one, it's gonna be trillium gradient.png, and then semicolon. All right, so what it's doing, we're using multiple images here. For this one, just this GIF file, it's going to be placed one time at the bottom right hand of the browser. And then this one here, it's going to basically take up the full browser background, and it's also going to repeat across there to give it that kind of gradient look. Okay, so if let's just show you the quick preview here. All right, so nothing yet because I haven't saved it, but I just wanted to show you what we're looking at here before we do the background. Okay, so go ahead and save this now. And let's jump back to our preview. All right, so now you can see that we got the that bottom right little flower there. Okay, and then we got the other gradient background image that's repeating across the page. All right, because we have the kind of the lighter color up here and the darker color down here. All right, okay, so got that one taken care of. Let's go to 4.10 on page 170. Go ahead and close out of this. Close that out. Let's go ahead and make another new folder in our chapter 4. We called it border CH4. And I need to copy a couple of files here, lighthouse logo.jpg and background.jpg. And starter 3. Okay. Grab those. So we want starter 3. And then in my starters folder, I'm gonna grab that one, background.jpg and lighthouse logo.jpg. So we got that one as well. All right, so let's go ahead and open up that starter 3 in brackets. All right, so let's take a look at what we got here, what we're working with. Okay, so right now we just have a basic page here with some basic text, and we're going to go ahead and this area up here in our H1 and our header, we're going to kind of do some things with that to get it to look a little better. All right, so in my style sheet here, and my embedded style, I want to create a new rule for my H1. All right, so whoops. Make sure I'm outside of that closing bracket for the footer. All right. So we're going to add in some background images, height, padding, borders. We're going to get all that put in here. Okay, so we're going to add background image, and we're going to use the little, okay, for the image here, we're going to use that logo, so lighthouselogo.jpg. All right, and then right after that first parentheses, or the closing parentheses, I'm going to put my semicolon, and then I'm going to add another rule here, background, repeat, background hyphen repeat. I don't want that to repeat, so I'm going to use the no repeat value, semicolon. I'm going to create a height for my H1, 100 pixels. I'm going to create a width, colon 650 pixels, so 650 px, semicolon, font size. We use 3M, semicolon. All right, so we're going to add some padding in here. So padding left, and we're going to do 150 pixels. And then we're going to put some padding on the top of 30 pixels. All right, and then we're going to create a border around this. All right, so border colon 1 pixel border, solid, and let's give it its color value. All right, and then the last one, we want to have it as a rounded border. Okay, so rounded corners, we're going to put in border hyphen radius 15 pixels. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this. So we're going to do a save as. And we're going to just save it as index. And let's take a look. All right, so you can see we got our H1 here. We have our width set to 650, our height of 100. All right, and we place that background image in there. We're not repeating it. We have background color already set up, and then we have our padding and rounded corner border, all that good stuff. Okay, so that's just a simple trick to like kind of spice up your header on your page if you're wanting to find a quick way to do that. All right, so let's take a look here, 4.11. Okay, on this one, we're going to center that content, and we're also going to add some shadows here to some of the text and the kind of our main content box. All right, so we'll use, I think we can just use the same one. Make sure here. Yeah, I think we can just use the same files. All right, so let's just go ahead and I'm gonna just copy this folder. I'm just gonna rename this one Shadow 4. All right. Okay, so we'll just keep working with that same index file that we have. So let me go back into brackets. Close out that one, open up a new file here. All right. All right, so we want to center all of our content, okay? So what we got to do here is create basically an ID selector in our style sheet. And we also have to create a div to put all this in. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll set up. We'll just start with the ID selector here in our style sheet. Okay, so right under that H1 that we just created, let's do another, we'll call this one container. All right, so we open it with the hashtag container. Start our curly brackets. And we're gonna add a background color. We'll just set it to white. All right, so white color, we need to add some padding. We'll do 1.25 M for the padding. Then we need to set the width of this container. All right, so width, we want it to take up 80% of the browser window, so 80%, semicolon. All right, and we want to have a minimum and a maximum width. Okay, so this is something new. We can set our minimum width to 800 pixels. And we can also set a maximum width. And we'll set that one to 960 pixels. All right, so it'll, the size of that container will never go below 800 and it'll never get bigger than 960. Okay. And then we want it to center on our page, right? So we have to add in margin left, set it to auto, and our margin right. Again, we also have to set that to auto. Okay. All right, so step 2 here, page 173. We want to create some of the shadows now. All right. So let's add in, we're still in the container here. We're going to do a box shadow. Okay, so box hyphen shadow. All right, we're going to do 5 pixels around the sides, around 3 of those sides. And then we got to give it a value for the shadow, color value. All right, so we're going to use 1E, 1E, 1E. All right, now the next few steps here, we want to do text shadows. All right, for the first one, we're going to do in that our H1 here. So right after border radius, let's add text hyphen shadow. And we'll make this one 3 pixels around those 3 sides. All right, so this is just a short code. If you're going to use the same value for all 3 areas of the hexadecimal, you can just short code it like that. Okay, so just a little trick there. Okay, and then in the H2, we want to have a light gray shadow also in the text. So let's jump up to our H2 and do another text shadow. And this one's going to be real small, just a 1 pixel on 2 of the sides, on the 3rd side, and nothing. And again, we're going to short code that. All right, so we got our style set up. Now we need to add in that div for the container. All right, so we're going to do that right underneath the body. So let's start here, div ID equals, and then in quotes, container, because that's what we named it. Close that opening tag, and then I got to move my closing div tag. We'll put it right here after the footer. All right, so got all that set up. Let's go ahead and save and see what we got. All right, so we got our div here centered, right? It's taking up 80% of the screen. We got our text shadows here up in our H1. You can kind of see that drop shadow there. We have a real subtle kind of drop shadow on the H2 headings there. And then if I resize this, you'll notice it'll go down to 800 and then it stops shrinking, right? And then if I go any smaller, fortunately, then we'd have to scroll across there. Okay, and so that kind of leads into what we'll be doing in a couple weeks here, where we start working with responsive screen sizes. All right. Okay, so let's hit 4.12. Close this out. All right, so let's make another new folder here called Kayak 4A. I need to copy some files here. Background, JPEG, hero back to, all right. Let's get into our template files. Starter, all right, so I need that one. Hero 2. Header back blue. Let's see. And we're going to use starter2.html. All right. Okay, all right, let's got all those. Let's go ahead and get going in brackets. Open those up. Okay. All right, so first thing, center page content. Okay, so we're on page 174. That's step 1 here. Let's do a new selector. Okay, so up here in our style sheets, don't have anything right now. Let's go ahead and create another ID selector. All right, so let's just do margin left and right auto and width 180. With 80%. Okay. Let's go ahead and make that div container real quick. So under our opening body tag is where we start that div. So again, div ID equals container. Close that. Move our closing tag down here after the footer. All right, so got that taken care of. All right, so now we're going to create some more CSS selectors here. Let's do a body selector. All right, so after that one, let's do body. And we're going to add a background image. All right. And we're going to use background.jpg. Okay. All right, so we're going to add a few more styles to our container now. So we're at step 2B. All right, so we're in the container selector, and let's add a background color. Just gonna make that white. And also gonna set up a minimum width. 650 pixels. We're going to do a maximum width of 1280. And let's add a box shadow. We'll just do 3 pixels on 3 sides. And give it a color. All right. Okay, let's jump down here to 2C. Now we're going to add, we're going to do some rules and values here for the header. Okay, so our header section. All right, so we're going to add background color, background image. We're going to set up the position and the repeating, and then some padding. All right, so first color. All right. Kind of a light blue. Let's do a text color for that header. Let's get a background image. All right, as for this one, we're going to use header back blue. All right, let's do our positioning. So background position. So let's set it to the right. We don't want it to repeat, so we have to add in background repeat, set that to no repeat. All right, and then let's add our height for the header. We're going to do 80 pixels. Get some padding here. So padding top, 5 pixels. Semicolon there. And then padding left. Let's do 2M on that. And the final thing here, let's add a text shadow, drop shadow. And really small, subtle, 1 pixel. So it's basically just going to outline it is all it's doing. And then value there. All right. Okay, we're getting closer. Next, we're going to style the nav. All right, so let's make another one rule here for nav. Okay, with this one, let's play around with the word spacing. So we're going to space the wording out a little bit. 1M. We're going to make the font weight bold. Font size. And we're going to make it centered. So text align, we'll set that as center. All right, we don't want to have underlines on our navigation links. So do nav anchor, text decoration none. All right, and just a couple other styles here. We're going to set for the main area. Okay, we're going to do another background image. And this one we're using Hero Back 2. All right, and then background size. We're going to set that to 100% for the width and height. So for the text color, let's set that to white. And padding around everything, 2M. Okay, last one, footer. Font style. Set that to italic. And font size, 0.80M. Text align, we're going to center that. And then our final one here, padding. 0.5M. All right, so we added a lot of code here into our embedded style sheet. All right, we got the container, we got our body, header, nav, main, footer. Okay, so we're basically styling all these different sections of the page. Okay, so this is pretty common. You'll do this with almost all of the pages that you will be working on as far as your case study. All right, so let's save this as index.html and see if everything looks the way it should. All right, I think it looks good. Check it against the book here. Yeah, we got our header here, got a background image there, background image in our main section, white text, footer, drop shadow around the div element. Let's see if it sizes correctly here. Yeah, so it's shrinking to 80%. We got a minimum and a maximum width, so everything looks good. All right. Okay, that one was a kind of a beast with all that code. Let's see what time, we got 1:05. All right, I'll be able to maybe get through a couple of these. Hold on a second, let's see. The next ones are mainly dealing with different types of the ways you can handle color and opacities and with HTML5. Okay, so we probably won't get through all of them, but we're kind of dealing with just some of the same principles here. That's just some different ways of dealing with color and alpha channels. All right, so 4.13 on page 176. Go ahead and close this out. All right, we're gonna make a new folder called opacity CH4. All right, and we're gonna start with okay. Let's just start with that template file. So chapter 2 template file, and just our super basic one. Copy that in there. All right, let's open that up in brackets. Okay. We are going to need one image. Sorry. Jump back out. Chapter 4, template starters. We need this JPEG image right here, fall.jpg. Copy that in there as well. All right. So now let's go back to brackets. Okay, so we're going to call, let's create a div here. So we're going to go right into our body. Div ID equals content. All right, so let's set up an H1. And we're going to call this, we're going to title fall nature hikes. All right, so let's get some styling in here. Okay, so we're going to go up into our head, create our embedded style sheet. All right, so we want to create an ID selector for that div. So we call it content. All right, so let's go ahead and we're on page 176 if you're following along. Background image. URL, we're going to link that fall.jpg file. All right, semicolon. We don't want that to repeat, so let's set our background repeat to none. All right, and then set our margins. Left auto, margin right auto. All right, and then let's set the width. 640 pixels. And height. Set that to 480. 480 pixels. And then last one here, padding for the top. Do 20 pixels. All right, now we just need to add some styling here for our H1. Let's do background color. Let's make that white. And here's where we can work with the opacity. Okay, so again, this really is something that was introduced with HTML5. Okay, so we're going to set it to like 60%. So 0.6, semicolon, font size. So this is where we're adding some opacity to that text. We're going to make it kind of big, so 4M. And we'll give it 10 pixels of padding. All right, so let's do a save as, title as index, HTML. And let's look at it. All right. Okay, so it should look like the example there on 175 in the book. Okay, so we got this H1 header, right? That's 60% opaque. Okay, so some of that background is kind of bleeding through both the strip of white there and the text. All right. And then we have our content here centered with that div. All right. So 4.14, let's see, 110. Okay, we can do this one real quick. Okay, so now we're going to work with a different color value. So let's just use the same file that we have. And let's just erase all this. Okay, so on page 178, set my text color to white. also, we can do the text color. Basically, we're doing it twice. This time we're going to use that RGBA value. Okay. So RGBA, and then in parentheses, we have to give the values for those. Okay, so because we want white, right? So let's just set it to 255 for the red, the green, and the blue. All right, so that's going to give us a white color. And then for that fourth value, the A, which means alpha, okay, so our alpha channel, we're going to set that at 0.07. That'll make it about 70% opaque. And we'll just give, we're going to do a different type of font. So let's do Donna, Helvetica, sans serif. And we need to give it a size, so font size. Again, it'll be kind of big, so we'll do 5M. Give some padding on the right. 10 pixels. And let's align it in the center, so text align center. All right, so let's do this save as, we'll just call it rgba.html. And let's see what this looks like. All right, so you can kind of see there, we got fall nature hikes. It's that white color, but you can kind of see the background showing through because we're setting it at 70% opaque. Okay. Oh, I was supposed to center it text right. Yeah. Page 177 shows you what it's supposed to look like. So, sorry, that. There we go. Okay. All right. Again, 4.15 in the book. So on page 180. Again, you're doing kind of the same thing, except you're using the HSLA color value system. All right. So you're just using that same file. And then 4.16, this is just doing some work with gradients in the background. Okay, so so like in the example there on page 182, you'll do a linear gradient. Okay, and so for the values in there, you do 2 bottom, and then you have 2 hexadecimal color values. All right, and then also there's an example where you do a radial gradient. Okay, so that's where it kind of starts in the center and expands out in kind of a circular format. And again, you just have to assign the 2 different values for the colors on that gradient. Okay. All right, so you should be able to finish those up on your own. Stop sharing my screen here. So finish those up, upload those into the Chapter 4 hands-on activity assignment, and then finish up your case studies this week for Chapter 4. Again, you'll be using the same principles that we used on most of these hands-on activities for the case study. All right, so that starts on page 195. All right, so you're going to be adding in some images to your Pacific Trails site. And then, not tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm going to start on Chapter 5, so I'll present information for Chapter 5 on Wednesday. Okay. All right, that's all I got for today. Again, I'll get this put into YouTube and upload it into Canvas for you to review. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Other than that, have a great day. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Hey, Matt, are you still here?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I just saw your chat from the last class. Tomorrow, I'll be available from like 9:30 to 11:30. If time in that would work for you to stop by.
You said 9:30 to 11:30.
Yeah, I'll be on campus available then.
Give me 1 second, because Tuesdays are a little weird for me. Um, I can stop by your office at 10:30 to 11:30. Would that be all right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
And so
Then
it's just in Tech Center West. So like when you're going down that real long hallway that kind of divides the two buildings,
mhm.
um, before you take a right, you would go to the physics classroom. Just keep going straight into that office suite right there. And then I think it's 162 is my office number. But it's right there
Okay.
in the
You're
little,
in the same office cluster as Troy.
yes, yep,
Okay.
yep.
That should be fine. I know where that's at.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll see you tomorrow then.
Thank you very much.